Thank you for those inspiring words, Danny, because coming from someone like yourself and what your team has done, the many decades of battles you have fought on so many fronts are just testimony to the fact that you all have been living your philosophy of focusing on the future, on getting results, and not being deterred by some of the hits that you get taken along the way, because you have a lot of triumphs too. So, so thank you for offering those words to our people. I want to mention that when you mentioned the Galactics, that at etletstalk.com, that's what we're focusing on too, more and more. The millennial generation, as you noted, Danny, I always call it a low-hanging fruit and wonderful sweet fruit because of that expanded consciousness and acceptance of star civilization's existence to begin with. So I look forward with you and with others to engaging more people of that generation to become active as we do with our CE5 teams across the planet here, in making their own contact. It's what the People's Disclosure Movement is really about, and I think we have a really great opportunity to make massive change in this area because of the openness of that generation. So you nailed it right there when you talked about the opportunity with them.
Yeah, and I would point out that, let me just say, I also want to point out that things are in an extraordinarily fluid condition right now. This onset of this surprising and stunning onset of Donald Trump coming into authority here in the United States has accelerated many, many different dynamics going on. I mean, you now hear people talking about the terrible problem of having corporations dominate the political realm. You now hear them talking all the time about the major petroleum corporations destroying the economy, and him revoking legislative and executive branch protections against stopping the coal companies from pouring poisons from the mining of coal into the streams, etc. There's a great deal of destabilization that has been inserted into the system now because of Trump, and a destabilized system represents an opportunity for change. It's when things are completely stable and solid and going forward and allowing 10 million people a year to die of starvation, allowing the continued development of more and more nuclear weapons, allowing the continued growth in the military industrial complex. When that kind of business as usual is going on, it's much more difficult to figure out how to change the course. But now that he's come in, no matter how much we didn't want it, he is causing a great deal of destabilization. And so that even the conservatives and reactionaries in the Republican Party, and even the conservatives in the Democratic Party, are extremely uncomfortable about what he's doing because he's undermining their ability to maintain the culture in this conservative way that is damaging to so many people. So again, I think I want us to understand that the liquid state that things are in right now, the fluid state that things are in, represent a great potential for us to be able to make headway in the progressive direction. So I want people to perceive that what is going on now is a real genuine opportunity for change. It can go either way, and therefore it's kind of a high-risk game, but so it can go either farther to the right or farther to the left. We want to be able to move this in a progressive direction. So I just wanted to say that before we close that part of the conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's pointing to the future. Well, actually, in the next question, kind of segues into the discussion you were just having, which is there any hope for campaign finance reform, and what would it take to get that in place?
Yeah. Well, neither the Republican Party or the Democratic Party are going to support a campaign finance reform because they're completely bought into the capitalist system, and they're supported and financed by the capitalists. They're not going to support this. What we have to do is we have to generate a huge upsurge in the progressive movement. There's a thing called the Justice Democrats. the Justice Democrats are trying to get the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives, the 74 of them, I think, members to work on drafting a full-scale political platform for the Democratic Party for 2020 with a full-scale alternative budget and an alternative economic system and everything else. That's where the progress has got to be made. And there have to be alternative people. There have to be Justice Democrats, not regular Democratic Party people, but Justice Democrats. It avoids having to establish and create an entire new political party. But to have Justice Democrats elected in 2018 and 2020, and once you get Justice Democrats into the Congress, the Senate and the House, and you get Justice Democrats appointed into executive positions, and eventually get Justice Democrats elected to run the executive branch, then you're going to be able to have an opportunity to put in public financing, because we will have broken the hold of the capitalist economic system on the political system. That's what really has to happen here. So it's don't kid ourselves that the Democratic Party is going to support public funding. They're not going to do that. They'll pay lip service to it, and they'll say, "Oh, I'd really like to be able to do public funding, but as long as the Republicans are able to get private funding from major corporations and billionaires, I'll have to do the same thing." That's what they're going to say. So we have to have a major sea change here politically through the rise of the Justice Democrats to take over the Democratic Party.
And in a related way, I think that when you mentioned Bernie and his candidacy of 2016, he showed that it is truly possible without going to the corporations or through the traditional capitalist system that he could raise, and the joke was $27 was the average contribution.
That's right.
He raised
That's right.
hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe, that way. And
That's
if
right.
anybody had,
Absolutely.
yeah, really, if anybody had doubted the power of small amounts given by many people who are mobilized, he laid that to rest.
That's right. So the internet provides a massive way of generating funds for an independent candidacy, and can do so on the congressional level and on the Senate level and on state assembly levels and on state house levels, governorship races. It's like the crowdfunding. You go up onto the internet and say, "Here's who I am. This is my candidacy. Here's what I stand for. Would you please give contributions? They're not tax deductible, but are you willing to send $10 or $20 to fund the candidacy? Here's what I stand for." And here's what my staff looks like, and this is what I want to be able to pay to my staff to be able to do the work that's necessary to get me elected. That's how people have to mount these campaigns. They can't just stand by waiting for someone else to do it. So there's this crowdfunding that's available, and you don't even have to do the official crowdfunding thing. There are all kinds of rules and regulations about that. About you set a certain level for your fundraising. If you don't make it, you don't get it. I don't know what they all are, but you can check those out. But you can raise funds directly through the internet and fund the campaigns. But you got to be clear. You got to be clear about what your policies are, what your campaign structure looks like. You have to hire lawyers. You register with the Federal Election Commission. You have to do all those things in the state election commissions. But it's completely possible for our people to take over the entire instrumentalities of government if we make a decision to do that.
And that's why the Justice Democrats and others are where this was their time to arise. And
that's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Our next question is, what is your opinion of the 100th monkey theory, and how many monkeys does it really take to change the consciousness of a population? If you've got that number, let us know. But how many monkeys?
Well, I was. Let me say two things about this.